The night shift on Jupiter's cargo station Delta 9 was always quiet. The giant planet glowed below like a swirling storm of fire and gold, and the only sound inside the station was the hum of the engines and the soft ticking of old lights. Eli Turner, a young mechanic, sat in the control bay, staring at the endless darkness outside. He was tired, lonely, and thinking about the father he never knew. His father had vanished 30 years ago during a secret mission called Project Horizon. No one ever found the ship, no black box, nothing. Eli had stopped believing in mysteries, until that night. A red light blinked on his radar screen, a faint signal from deep space moving slowly toward the station. It was small, barely the size of a shuttle. No ID tag, no distress call, no life signs, probably space junk, he muttered. But something about it felt wrong. The radar showed the craft changing direction, not drifting, flying. Eli leaned closer. Computer, magnify visual. The screen zoomed in, showing a small silver vessel shaped like a teardrop covered in strange black scars. It wasn't human-made. Not any design he had seen before. The ship stopped moving, just outside the airlock. Control, this is Eli Turner on maintenance deck, he said through the comms. We have an unidentified vessel requesting docking. There was static, then the captain's sleepy voice. Requesting? There's no signal, Turner, Eli frowned. The radar was blank now. The ship didn't exist on their scanners, but he could see it through the window. Floating there, silent, waiting. Permission to investigate, Eli said. Negative, the captain replied. You stay put. We'll send security, but before he could finish, the airlock lights turned green. The outer door was opening by itself. Eli jumped from his seat. What the? The alarms blared, echoing through the corridor. The station lights flickered as if something was draining the power. He grabbed a plasma torch and ran to the airlock. The door hissed open, releasing a cloud of icy mist. Inside, a small figure collapsed onto the floor. It was a girl. She had pale skin that shimmered faintly under the light, and long silver hair spread around her like a blanket. Her clothes were torn, a kind of metallic fabric that looked half alive. Eli froze. She wasn't human. Her eyes, half open, glowed faintly blue, and when she breathed, it made a soft humming sound like a song. He knelt beside her. Hey, can you hear me? Her eyes flickered. She looked at him, really looked, as if she recognized his face. Then she whispered, voice weak and trembling, You smell like my father. Eli's breath caught. What? But before he could say more, she collapsed again, unconscious. Silver blood dripped from her arm and hissed when it touched the floor. The door behind him slammed shut automatically. The light stopped flickering. The station's AI spoke in a calm tone. Unidentified organism detected. Quarantine protocol initiated. Eli quickly lifted her, feeling her body cold and light as air. She's hurt. I need medical. Denied, the AI interrupted. Unknown biology. Quarantine in effect. He ignored the warning and carried her to the medbay himself. The sensors went crazy as he laid her on the table. Her heartbeat sounded like an echo, her temperature shifting between warm and freezing. She began to mumble in her sleep, words he didn't understand, a soft alien language that almost sounded like crying. Eli stood there, confused and afraid. He wasn't trained for this. He fixed engines, not aliens. Then the captain stormed in, followed by 2 guards in gray suits. Turner, what did you bring aboard? Eli stepped back. She appeared out of nowhere. She needs help. The captain stared at the girl, frowning. That's not our problem. We'll send her to Jupiter Command for study. But when one of the guards tried to move her, the lights in the room exploded, literally shattered, spraying glass everywhere. A wave of static filled the air and every machine went dark. The girl sat up suddenly, eyes glowing bright blue. The guards raised their weapons, but she looked terrified, not dangerous. Don't touch me, she screamed. And every monitor in the medbay cracked at once. Then she turned to Eli, breathing fast, shaking. They're coming, she whispered. Don't let them find me. Before anyone could ask who they were, the power died completely. The hum of the engines stopped. The station drifted into silence out the window. Eli saw something that made his stomach drop. Shadows moving behind Jupiter. Large shapes cloaked in darkness, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. And then, one by one, their lights turned on, like a fleet waking from sleep. Eli's voice trembled. Captain, we're not alone. The captain's face went pale. Everyone to alert stations. Lock everything down. Eli looked at the alien girl again. Her glowing eyes met his. "Please," she said softly. "Don't let them take me. You smell like my father. He trusted you." And in that moment, Eli knew this was no accident. Whatever had brought her here, it was connected to him, and to the mystery his father had left behind. The power finally came back on after 3 long hours. The emergency lights blinked through the corridors of Station Delta 9, painting everything in dull red. The stormy glow of Jupiter spun below, casting ghostly reflections on the metal walls. Eli hadn't slept. He sat beside the medbed, staring at the strange girl who had fallen from the stars. She was sleeping now, her breathing calm, her silver hair spread like liquid light over the pillow. Machines beeped softly beside her, confused by her alien body. Every few minutes her skin changed color, faint blue to pale white, then back again. The captain had ordered her locked up, but the systems wouldn't let them move her. Every time they tried, power cut out or security doors jammed. It was as if the station itself refused to let her go. Eli leaned forward. "Who are you?" he whispered. Her eyes opened, bright blue like twin suns. "Kaelra," she said quietly, as if remembering something long forgotten. "My name is Kaelra." Her voice was soft, almost childlike. But there was something strange about it. Too calm, too precise. Eli nodded slowly. "Kaelra, how did you get here?" She tilted her head, confused. "I ran away." "From what?" She looked toward the window where Jupiter's storms roared silently below. "From them." Eli wanted to ask who they were, but her face changed. Fear and sadness mixing together. "You smell like my father," she said again, voice trembling. "He said your scent would mean safety." Eli froze. "Your father?" Kaelra nodded. "He was human, but not like the others." Before Eli could ask more, the medbay doors hissed open. 2 security officers entered, followed by the captain, an older woman named Draven, her expression cold and tired. "Turner," she said sharply. "Step away from it," Eli stood. "Her name's Kaelra." Draven gave a bitter laugh. "Good for her. She's still not staying here. Command's sending a ship to collect her within 6 hours. Until then, she's not to leave this room." "Understood." Kaelra's eyes widened. "No, please." Eli saw panic in her face, a real human fear. He stepped forward. "She's not dangerous, Captain. She's scared." Draven's eyes narrowed. "She's unknown. And unknown things get people killed out here." She turned to leave, but before she could step through the door, every screen in the medbay flashed with static. A voice, deep and mechanical, filled the room. "Incoming transmission. Source unknown," the captain frowned. "Put it through." The lights dimmed. A holographic shape appeared. A cluster of shifting black triangles forming a tall alien figure. No face, no eyes, only a cold pulsing light at its center. "Return the construct," it said in a metallic whisper. "Return the hybrid." Kaelra gasped and grabbed Eli's arm. "It's them!" "The Seekers." "They found me." The hologram flickered. "Failure to comply will result in extraction." Then it vanished. Silence filled the room. Draven turned pale. "What was that?" Kaelra whispered. "Hunters. They destroy everything to find me." Eli felt his stomach tighten. "Captain, we can't hand her over." "You saw what those things were." Draven stared at him for a long moment. "You don't get to decide that, Turner. She's not your responsibility." She walked out with the guards, leaving Eli and Kaelra alone again. Kaelra looked at him, trembling. "They won't stop." "I was built to lead them. I ran away so they couldn't use me." Eli blinked. "Built, you mean you're not born?" She shook her head slowly. "Created. A weapon that refused to kill." Eli took a deep breath, trying to process her words. "And you think my father—" She nodded. "Your father was one of them. A human scientist. He tried to save me. He told me if I ever found you, you would protect me." Eli felt something break inside him. His father and the man who vanished and had somehow met this girl, maybe even created her. And now she was standing here afraid because of him. Suddenly the alarm screamed again. The walls shook. The station trembled under a heavy impact. "Warning," the AI said. "External hull breach. Unknown vessels approaching." Eli looked through the medbay window. Glowing black ships surrounded the station like sharks in the dark. The Seekers had arrived. Kaelra stood, eyes glowing bright blue, her voice filled with both fear and resolve. "They will destroy everything to take me. You have to let me stay close to you, Eli. My body reacts to your scent. It hides me. Eli stared at her. Hides you how? I don't know, she said softly. But when I'm near you, they can't find me. That's why I wouldn't leave. The walls shook again. The lights flickered. Eli grabbed his toolkit and looked at her. Then stay close. If your being near me keeps them blind, we might both survive this. Kaelra smiled faintly, her blue eyes glowing even brighter. You're just like him. Eli frowned. Like who? She whispered. Your father. And outside the station, the first of the seeker ships began to open fire. The station drifted in silence after the first attack. Most systems were down and the air smelled of smoke and burnt wires. Red lights flashed weakly through the corridors. Eli and Kaelra hid in a small maintenance room near the engine core, the sound of distant explosions echoing through the metal walls. Eli sat on the floor, his hands shaking as he tried to repair a broken comm pad. Kaelra sat beside him, knees to her chest, her silver hair reflecting the dim red light. She looked calm, but her glowing blue eyes never stopped watching the door. Are they gone? Eli whispered. Kaelra shook her head slowly. No, they never leave. They circle like hunters waiting for a scent. Eli sighed. And that scent? Is you, she looked down. Yes, but they can't sense me when I stay close to you. That's why I can't leave your side. Her voice was quiet, almost ashamed. Eli didn't know what to say. His mind kept repeating her words from before. You smell like my father. It made no sense, yet something deep inside him felt the truth of it. He looked at her again. Kaelra, how do you know my father? She hesitated. I don't remember everything. But I see flashes and faces, rooms, a man who looked like you. He was kind. He said I was his second chance. Eli frowned. Second chance for what? I don't know, she whispered. But he said the key to saving both our worlds was inside me. The lights flickered again and the floor rumbled as another explosion shook the station. Eli grabbed the comm pad, finally getting it to work. We need to know what's happening outside. He connected to the station's AI core, what was left of it. Static filled the tiny speaker. Then suddenly a voice came through. Eli Turner. Eli froze. Who is this? The voice was distorted but calm, deep, familiar. If you're hearing this, son, it means I failed to stop them. Eli's heart stopped. Dad? Kaelra's eyes widened. That voice. I've heard it before. The comm pad flickered and a small holographic image appeared above it. A man with the same dark eyes as Eli, wearing a worn-out research uniform with the insignia Project Horizon. My name is Dr. Samuel Turner, the message continued. If my work reaches you, then the hybrid is alive. That means there's still hope. Kaelra gasped and pressed a hand to her chest. Hybrid, that's what they called me. Eli's father's image looked tired but determined. We found something in deep space and a dying race of energy beings. They called themselves the Seekers. They could heal, build, and destroy with thought alone. I wanted peace, but Command wanted power. So I created a bridge between us, a living link made from both our DNA. Eli whispered. He's talking about you. Her name is Kaelra, the hologram said, as if answering him. She's more than a weapon. She's the only being who can connect human and seeker minds. Protect her. They'll come for her. They'll never stop. The hologram glitched and his father's face flickered. If she finds you, she'll know. You share the same scent, a genetic echo. That's why she said you smell like me. It's in your blood. Eli stared at the projection, his throat tight. His father's voice had lost for 30 years and was speaking directly to him. They'll tell you she's dangerous, the recording continued. But she's our future. And maybe, your sister. The message ended. The room fell silent. Eli sat frozen. His heart pounded so hard it hurt. My sister? Kaelra looked at him, her eyes soft. I don't understand what that means. But he was my creator. And your father. Maybe that makes us both his children. Eli ran a hand through his hair, trying to breathe. His whole life he had dreamed of hearing from his father again. But not like this. Not with an alien girl beside him who carried his father's blood and the power to destroy galaxies. Before he could speak, the comm pad sparked again, a new signal. The AI voice returned, weak and broken. Warning. Seeker boarding pods detected. Hull breach imminent. Kaelra stood up instantly. They've found us. Eli grabbed his tools and looked at her. Then we run. No, she said firmly. You can't fight them. They see through machines, through lies. But if I connect to the station's power core, I might hide us both. Just for a while. Eli stared at her glowing hands. Will that hurt you? She smiled faintly. Maybe, but you smell like home. I'll be fine. She placed her palms against the wall and light spread from her fingertips, running through the station's circuits like veins of blue fire. For a moment, everything was quiet again. The engines hummed back to life. Outside, the seeker ships drifted away, confused, their sensors blinded. Eli looked at her in awe. You did it, but Kelra swayed weak, her glow fading. He caught her before she fell. She whispered faintly, Your father said I'd be safe with you. Don't let me be wrong. Eli held her close as alarms continued to echo in the distance. He didn't know what they were running from, but he finally knew why. They weren't just running for their lives. They were running from a past his father had built. Dark clouds of debris floated outside Station Delta 9 like ghostly shadows. Pieces of metal drifted across the silent black space. The Seekers had stopped their attack for now, but Eli knew they were still out there, waiting, watching. Inside the station, emergency lights glowed faintly. Eli carried Kelra through a narrow corridor toward the cargo deck. She was still weak, her body flickering with faint blue light like a dying star. Every few steps she whispered strange words in her language, soft, broken sounds that made the metal walls hum. Eli placed her gently on a crate. You need rest, he said. Kelra shook her head. No, they'll find me again soon. We have to move. Her eyes were calm, but he could see fear behind them. Eli crouched beside her. You said they were called the Seekers. What do they want from you? She looked down at her hands, her silver skin glowing faintly. They want what I carry inside. A code, a key that can open their mind link. It connects all of them together. If they use me, they can control every thought, every ship, every being like them. I ran before they could finish the link. Eli frowned. So you're like a living access point. Or a weapon, Kelra nodded sadly. I was made to bridge peace, not war. But they twisted it. Before Eli could answer, the floor shook. The lights flickered. The AI voice spoke again. Warning, multiple signatures approaching. Boarding pods inbound. Kelra stood up instantly. They've found me again. Eli grabbed his toolkit and ran toward the control bay. Come on, we can't stay here. They sprinted down the corridor, alarms screaming. The sound of metal cracking echoed from below. The Seekers were cutting through the hull. Eli slammed his hand on the emergency hatch control, sealing off the lower decks. That'll slow them down, he said, breathing hard. Kelra stared at him with glowing eyes. Why are you helping me, Eli? You don't even know me. He gave a half smile. Maybe I don't, but my father trusted you. That's good enough for me. Something flickered in her face in a small, fragile smile. Then the hallway lights exploded. A dark mist poured through the air vents, filling the corridor with a low electric hum. Eli's eyes widened. What is that? Kelra's voice shook. Hunters. Physical forms of the Seekers. They move like shadows. Don't look into their light. Shapes began forming in the mist. Tall, thin beings made of shifting black energy, their bodies rippling like smoke. Blue lights glowed where eyes should be. They floated silently toward them. Eli grabbed Kelra's hand. Run! They sprinted down the hall as the hunters glided after them. The air around the creatures pulsed and cracked. Lights died, metal bent. One of the hunters reached out, its hand stretching like liquid shadow. It touched the wall and the metal burned black. Kelra suddenly stopped and turned around. They'll follow me forever. I have to stop them. Eli pulled her arm. You can't fight them. She looked at him with fierce, glowing eyes. I can hide you. Before he could argue, she pressed her palm to his chest. A wave of blue light spread across him, making his skin feel cold and numb. Then, to his shock, she vanished, her body fading like light into air. Kelra! He shouted. The hunters slowed. Their heads turned in confusion, scanning the room. They no longer saw her. Or him. Eli realized what she had done. She cloaked them both in her energy. He could still feel her near him, invisible but close, her voice whispering in his mind. Don't move. They can sense movement. The hunters drifted past, their forms buzzing like electric wind. Eli held his breath, heart pounding so hard he thought they'd hear it. After what felt like forever, the shadows moved on. The corridor fell silent again. Kelra appeared beside him, weak and trembling. I can't do that again, she whispered. It drains me too fast. Eli caught her before she fell. You saved us. That's all that matters. Suddenly, the station's AI crackled back to life. Incoming transmission. Earth Command Vessel Artemis requesting docking clearance. Eli's eyes widened. Earth Command? They're here? Kelra shook her head, her voice filled with fear. No, it's too soon. That's not them. Outside the viewport, a large human warship approached, its lights bright and familiar, but something about it felt wrong. The ship's ID signal was flickering, distorted. Eli frowned. If it's not Earth Command, then who is it? Kelra stepped closer to the glass, eyes glowing faintly. The Seekers have learned to copy human signals. They're pretending to be your people. As the fake command ship locked onto the docking bay, Kelra whispered, They won't stop until I'm taken, but I won't go without a fight. Eli gripped his wrench tightly, staring at the approaching ship. Then neither will I. Outside, the false human vessel began to open its bay doors, revealing a swarm of dark drones, and for the first time, Eli understood what his father had meant. He wasn't just protecting her, he was protecting humanity itself. The fake Earth command ship hung above Station Delta 9 like a predator pretending to be harmless. Its lights blinked the same patterns as a human vessel, but Kelra could feel the lie in the air. The energy around it pulsed wrong, cold and alive. Eli stood beside her in the control bay, sweat on his forehead, tools in hand. The hum of damaged systems filled the silence. They had sealed most of the hatches, but they both knew it wouldn't stop what was coming. Kelra's voice was soft. They know I'm here. They always know. Eli looked at her, his jaw tight. Then we find somewhere they can't reach. Somewhere hidden. She turned to him, her glowing eyes reflecting the red light. There's only one place they won't look. Your father's last base. He built it far from any beacon, deep on the moon of Callisto. Eli frowned. How do you know that? I see fragments in my mind, she said quietly. Memories he left inside me when he made me. I think he wanted you to find it. Eli stared at her for a long moment, then nodded. Then we go there. He started powering up a small escape craft docked to the lower hangar, one of the few ships still working. Outside the window, the fake command ship began to move closer. The station's alarm screamed again. Warning, unauthorized docking. Hull breach in progress. Eli grabbed Kelra's hand. No time. Let's move. They ran down the corridor as explosions shook the walls. A group of dark drones crawled through the breach, their bodies made of shifting metal. The air filled with the sound of twisting steel and sparks. Kelra turned and lifted her hand. A wave of blue energy burst from her palm, knocking the drones away. The hallway filled with glowing dust. Eli stared, amazed. How did you? She breathed hard. I don't control it. It reacts when I'm afraid. They reached the hangar, climbed into the small ship, and launched just as the station began to break apart. Through the viewport, Delta 9 exploded in a storm of light and debris, its remains scattering into Jupiter's orbit. Eli gripped the controls tightly. That was my home, he whispered. Kelra's voice was soft. You can build another. Your father built many. The journey to Callisto was quiet. Space stretched endlessly around them, stars blinking like tiny eyes. Kelra sat in the co-pilot seat, staring into the blackness. Eli finally spoke. Kelra, when my father made you, did he know this would happen? She hesitated. He said creation always has a price. He wanted peace between humans and the Seekers, but his people didn't trust him. They saw me as a monster. Her words trembled. So he hid me, and told me to find you when the time was right. Eli looked at her. And now it is? She nodded. Because now the Seekers want the same thing he feared. To use me to control both species. The ship entered Callisto's orbit. A frozen moon covered in white ice and gray rock. Hidden beneath its surface was a structure, half buried. A secret base marked with the faded emblem of Project Horizon. Eli guided the craft into an underground hangar, long forgotten. The door shut behind them, sealing out the stars. Inside, old lights flickered on. The place looked untouched, dusty, silent, but full of strange machines and glass pods. Kelra stepped forward, her eyes wide. I remember this, Eli followed her. My father built all this? She nodded. He built it to protect me. They entered the central chamber where a large device stood in the center, a circular pod surrounded by cables and glowing tubes. Inside the pod was a shape, human but not alive. Eli's voice shook. What is that? Kelra touched the glass. Her fingertips glowed. It's the first version of me, the one that failed. Eli stepped closer, feeling a chill run through him. The figure inside the pod looked almost human, but its skin was half silver, half flesh, broken and incomplete. Kale turned to him, her voice trembling. Your father tried many times to merge human and seeker DNA. I was the only one who lived. Eli swallowed hard. So he used my DNA to make you? She nodded slowly. Half of you, half of him. That's why I can sense you. That's why you smell like him. The words hit Eli like a storm. He leaned against the wall, trying to breathe. That means you're part of my family. Kelra smiled sadly. I was never meant to be born. But your father wanted me to understand love. He said only love could connect two worlds. Eli looked at her, eyes softening. Then he was right. Before he could say more, a loud alarm echoed through the base. Red lights flashed. Warning, said an old robotic voice. Seeker energy detected. Perimeter breach. Kelra's eyes glowed brighter. They found us again. Eli grabbed a plasma rifle from the wall. Then we make our stand. Kelra stepped beside him, her voice strong now. You carry his courage. I carry his light. Maybe that's enough. Outside, the ground shook as the hunters landed on the frozen moon, their black ships cutting through the ice. And deep inside the hidden base, the sun and the hybrid stood together, ready to face what his father had started long ago. The underground base trembled as explosions echoed through the tunnels. Dust rained down from the ceiling. Red warning lights flashed in a steady rhythm, like the heartbeat of a dying machine. Eli and Kelra stood side by side at the main control deck. The old computers flickered to life, showing a swarm of seeker signals closing in from above. Their black ships hovered over Callisto's icy surface like vultures. Kelra's glowing eyes scanned the monitor. There are too many. They found the base. Eli gritted his teeth, checking the plasma rifle in his hands. Then we hold them off as long as we can. Kelra turned toward him, her voice calm but heavy. You don't understand. They don't just want me. They want you now too, he frowned.
Me, why?
She looked down, her voice trembling. Because of what's inside you. Your father didn't just give me your DNA. He gave you some of mine. You are connected to the seeker link, Eli. That's why they can't sense me when I'm near you. Your blood hides me. Eli froze, his mind spinning. You mean I'm part of you? Kelra nodded slowly. You are the only human who can block their hive sense. That's why they can't kill you. They need you alive. Eli felt a chill run through his chest. So all this time they weren't just chasing you. They were hunting me too. Before Kelra could respond, the heavy steel doors to the base shuddered under impact. The sound of twisting metal echoed through the hall. Warning, said the AI voice. Outer defense compromised. Kelra grabbed Eli's arm. We have to leave. There's another exit through the lower tunnels. They ran through the dim corridors past old labs filled with broken glass and silent machines. Blue sparks flickered on the walls, seeker energy creeping through the air like lightning smoke. Suddenly a new voice came through the intercom. Calm, cold, and human. Eli Turner, this is Commander Ryland of Earth Command. Stand down. We are here to extract you and the specimen. Eli stopped. Earth Command? How did they... Kelra's face darkened. It's not them. It's a copy again. But the next sound proved her wrong. Boots on metal. Human boots. Soldiers in white armor appeared from the tunnel ahead, carrying Earth insignias and rifles. The lead soldier lifted his helmet. A middle-aged man with gray eyes looked straight at Eli. You've made quite a mess, Turner. Your father's ghost has caused enough trouble. Eli stared. Who are you? Commander Ryland, the man replied. Project Horizon's final overseer. We've been tracking you since Delta 9 and her... He pointed at Kelra. She belongs to us. Kelra stepped back, her glow dimming. You worked with his father. You lied to him. Ryland smiled coldly. Your father was naive. He thought peace was possible. But you, Kelra, are proof that power is better. You could end every war or start one. Eli raised his weapon. You're not taking her. Ryland sighed. You don't understand, son. You are her. Eli blinked. What? Your father's final experiment wasn't just her creation, Ryland said, his voice smooth and cruel. It was the merging of both of you. Two halves of the same code. Without you, she dies. Without her, you die. You're one organism split into two bodies. Kelra gasped, shaking her head. No, that can't be true. Ryland smirked. Then why do you share a heartbeat? Eli felt a sudden pain in his chest, sharp, deep, real. At the same time, Kaelra stumbled, clutching her heart. Their pulses matched perfectly. Every beat, one sound. Ryland lowered his weapon. Bring them in. Soldiers moved forward. Eli fired first, bright plasma lighting the corridor. Kaelra raised her hands. Blue light exploded from her palms, forming a shield of pure energy. The blast sent the soldiers flying backward. Ryland snarled. Enough! He pressed a button on his wrist. Instantly, the entire base filled with a high-pitched hum. Kaelra screamed, collapsing to the floor, light pouring from her eyes. Eli knelt beside her. Kaelra, what's happening? Her voice cracked. He activated the failsafe. Your father built it, to destroy me if I ever lost control. Eli looked at Ryland, fury in his eyes. You're killing her. Ryland's expression didn't change. Only one of you needs to survive, Turner. And it's going to be you. Something inside Eli snapped. The lights around him flickered, blue sparks crawling over his arms. His veins glowed faintly. Kaelra's power, her energy, was flowing into him through their shared link. Ryland stepped back, eyes wide. Impossible. Eli rose to his feet, eyes glowing bright blue, his voice calm but filled with anger. You should have left us alone. With one motion, he slammed his hand on the wall. The base shuddered violently. Lights exploded. The ceiling cracked. Kaelra's power surged through the room like a storm. Ryland tried to run, but the floor split open beneath him. His scream was swallowed by the collapsing tunnel. Eli caught Kaelra as the walls began to fall. Her body was fading, turning into light. Eli, she whispered weakly. I can't hold on. No, he said, holding her tighter. You're not leaving me. She smiled faintly. You are my other half. Remember that. Then in a burst of blue light, she vanished, her energy flowing straight into him. The base went silent. When the dust cleared, Eli stood alone in the ruins, his eyes glowing softly. He could still hear her voice in his mind, quiet but alive. I'm still here. The ruins of the base lay quiet beneath the frozen surface of Callisto. Dust drifted through the air like slow snow. The once bright lights of Project Horizon were gone, leaving only the cold whisper of machines dying in silence. Eli Turner stood in the center of the wreckage, surrounded by smoke and broken steel. His breath came out in misty clouds. His eyes still glowed faint blue, the same color that had once lived in Kaelra's eyes. Her voice was no longer just beside him, it was inside him. Eli, can you hear me? He closed his eyes. I can, he whispered. You're still here. Part of me is, her voice echoed softly in his mind. You carry what I was. But the Seekers will come again. You have to finish what your father started. He looked at the shattered control core where Ryland had fallen. Finish it? You mean destroy the Seekers? No, she said gently. Not destroy, free them, Eli frowned. Free them? They are trapped in their own network, Kaelra explained. Your father tried to show them emotion, to make them understand life. But they rejected it. If we connect the human signal with their hive link, we can break the control system. End the hunt forever. Eli turned toward the center of the base where the circular portal device still glowed faintly. It pulsed with blue and red light, half dead but still alive. It was the final machine his father had built, the bridge. He took a slow breath. If I use that, I might not come back. You won't, Kaelra said softly. But they'll finally stop killing. You'll give them what they lost, the choice to feel. Eli smiled sadly. You sound like him. He was part of both of us, she said. That means his dream still lives, and through you. Outside, the ground shook violently. The Seekers had returned. Massive black ships pierced the icy crust, landing like falling stars. Their shadows crawled across the horizon. The hum of their energy filled the tunnels. Eli picked up his father's old command key, a small metal disc engraved with the symbol of Project Horizon, and walked toward the control podium. Let's finish this together. As he approached the portal, the room filled with static. The walls lit up with glowing alien runes forming around him like living veins. The hum grew louder until it became a song. Kaelra's song, the one she had hummed when she first arrived at Delta 9. He smiled. You're with me. Always, she whispered. Eli placed the key into the console. The floor trembled. The portal flared to life, a swirling sphere of light and shadow showing visions of both worlds. He saw Earth blue and fragile. He saw the Seeker homeworld, endless fields of energy, beautiful and cold. Then he saw them, thousands of Seekers floating in the dark, bound together by invisible chains of light. Their hive mind pulsed like a prison. Eli reached toward the control panel. If this works, we'll break those chains. And if it fails? Kelra asked softly. He smiled. Then at least they'll remember who tried. He pressed his hand against the interface. Instantly, pain shot through him like fire. His vision blurred. Light poured from his body, half human, half blue. The bridge roared to life, spreading waves of energy across the moon. Outside, the Seeker ships froze midair. Their black shells began to crack, glowing from within. The sound that followed wasn't a scream. It was a cry, a release, a heartbeat multiplied 1,000 times. Kelra's voice echoed louder inside him. They can feel it, Eli. They're remembering. They're alive again. The energy grew brighter, filling every corner of the base. The machines exploded one by one, unable to contain the power. The moon's crust began to shake apart. Eli fell to his knees, his body turning to light. Kelra, it's working. I can feel them. You're becoming part of them, she said softly. Part of everything. He smiled through the pain. Tell them. Tell them I forgive them. You'll tell them yourself, she whispered. The portal flared once more, then collapsed inward, releasing a blinding flash that covered the entire moon. For a long moment, there was only silence, then stillness. The Seeker ships stopped moving. Their lights dimmed, and slowly, one by one, they turned away from Callisto, drifting quietly into deep space. The war was over. Days later, a small rescue team from Earth found the ruins of Project Horizon. Among the wreckage, they discovered only one thing, a silver pendant shaped like two circles joined together. It glowed faint blue, pulsing like a quiet heartbeat. When the scientists brought it aboard their ship, a faint voice played through their comms, calm, gentle, and human. My name is Eli Turner. The war is over. Tell my father. We made peace. The voice faded, and for a brief second, the stars outside the window shimmered blue, as if the universe itself had smiled. And somewhere, beyond time and light, Eli and Kelra stood together again, no longer human or alien, but one being of pure light, the bridge that united two worlds.